So Val, what's your problem?
Do you have a year? Actually, there was something that was brought to my attention. That's what made me kick in here. We applied for the rent subsidy yesterday afternoon. It was brutal.
I know. That's what I was going to ask you.
You know, we applied like I've got help to helping me out because, like I said, this is so far above my pay grade. But we ended up doing the application. We got it on the third try, and this wasn't the first time that we had did it, because we were questioning one thing if we qualified for a particular thing, and so we clicked on it to see, you know, if we qualified, and then after inputting all of those numbers and doing everything, it completely kicked us out. So we had to start from scratch. Then we had to do something else. I can't remember what it was. We got to the end and we're like, all it literally said was to submit. And then we're looking at the figure, and it was interesting because it was asking you, because we were working at finishing up January's figures, right, for the rent subsidy, right?
Yeah.
But it asked you again for this time around for November and December, right? When we had already submitted that before, and it didn't, I don't know.
Which periods were you submitting the claims for?
I'm sorry?
Which period, which claim period for the rent subsidy?
Fourth period, like now, the one that we're allowed to submit for now.
Okay, because you can submit all from September 27th onwards, right?
Yeah, we have been doing it, right? And then we were waiting for the next roundabout, so we did that. But prior to that, like yesterday, we had to do payroll, and we had to do what was I going to say? We were trying to close off all the numbers for January, anticipating that those numbers are going to be required now for the rent for February, right?
Yeah.
And in actual fact, it did not ask us to any of that. It asked us only for November's, again, that we used, and December's figures.
That's kind of strange, because I know that it is supposed to mimic the Q's claim periods. Now, in Q10 and period 11, the revenue decline is identical. Like the periods that you look up to is the same.
Yeah.
And for period 12, which is January, you wouldn't have applied for period.
No, I think it's period. I think it's period 4.
Oh, okay. For period 4.
Like this is the one that we're allowed. Yeah, period 4.
Which is December 20th to January 6th.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. For that, the information I have, if you're using the general approach, you go January 2021 over 20, or December 2020 over December 2019.
Yeah, no, but it asked us only for November 2020, or November 20. I'm getting confused. November 2019, November 2020, December 2019, and then December 2020 for period 4.
That's kind of strange.
That's what we thought.
Yeah, like it should not be
so then when we completed it, and then we looked at the amount, it's like, oh my God, like we're not going to make it. And then we discovered that there was a line that we missed, right? So that's fine. So we went back in and corrected that. But no, it asked us only for those two months that we had already submitted. So I don't know. That's what we thought. Well, welcome to freaking Revenue Canada. Sorry.
Because period
outside voice.
Yeah. Period 10 looks at 2019 for revenue. I went in through
the Revenue Canada login site where it says when we log into the business, and then it's got the thing there, and then this is the next claim period you can apply for, right? So we've been applying consistently. And so we went into that claim period, had all of our numbers ready, and that only to find out that they did not want any of the current numbers for January, because we're referring to like the full month of November and the full month of December, the full month of whatever, right? Based on and also on the previous year. So I don't know. I'm hoping that we don't get a hiccup or anything like that, because each time when it kicked us out, each time
Yeah.
it was the same questions with respect to that. And we were,
Mhm.
Anyway, so that was very odd, but we submitted it, it accepted it, we printed everything off. So hopefully we don't get a hiccup in that. Somebody brought something to my attention, and I was trying to find out more about it, but I mean, I don't know where my head's at these days. So, so it said that, and I put that in my question, was Minister Ng announces launch of highly affected sectors credit availability program.
Yes.
So
Last
can you,
week. I
yeah,
haven't looked at in detail yet because the details are very sketchy on that one.
yeah.
It is more to follow, like everything with this
Mhm.
announcement with the Department of Finance. I announcement and they've put the details to follow because the CRA is
Mhm.
based use program right now.
Right.
So I get the details on that one in the next
Yeah.
couple of weeks.
What
So
was the full name of that one, Val?
I have the link, or it's on the canada.ca, and
Yeah.
it says Minister NG
Yeah.
announces launch of highly affected sectors
yes.
credit availability program. My understanding is that possibly if you qualify, you can get a loan, a low interest loan. So we can pay off some of this. I don't know. So we
It's
can try to
access to low interest loans to meet operational cash flow from $20 to $1 million, up to $1 million.
Yeah.
So that's a FedDev program then. Is that part of the RRF?
No, the new program that was
Oh.
announced on January the 28th.
Yeah, they announced it like they've always announced, without any details and without opening the portal. But my understanding is it's for those sectors that have really been hit hard that have been excluded. So if you're into other programs already, I suspect you'll be screened out, because it's really is for those sectors like hospitality, tourism, some of those bigger sectors that have just been they didn't qualify because they had too many employees, or there's a variety of reasons, and I think that's their attempt at doing some of those sectors. Is that?
Yes, and it'll be administered through the BDC. That's what I'm aware of. So
yeah.
Oh, so it's not stackable program. It's a
No.
but details to follow. So I don't know if there's some.
Sorry, odds are we probably won't be able to qualify because we have been trying to take advantage of whatever we find out.
Yeah. Hey, Val, I want to ask you, I'm glad you're on because I want to ask you a question about opening up. Well,
Sorry.
Don't be laughing now. We're going to get there. But let's say the premier, because our best Waterloo that Ian and I sit on with Tony Lamantia from WEDC and Communitech. We're going to be trying to talk to the province and say, like, going back to red, if that's the opening where you can have 10 people in a restaurant, serves no purpose. It's not any greater than what you've got right now, correct?
Right.
So what we need to do is you need to get to at least, probably something where even if the restrictions were at 50% capacity or something, it would be better than like that would at least get you started.
Well, yeah, like the thing that I never understood, and that I'm at the point right now where I'm angry, right? And I'm a pretty casual person, I think, for the most part. I don't understand why, like I said earlier, why because we have a restaurant, why we are only allowed 10 people, whether the building is 1,000 square feet or 10,000 square feet. It doesn't matter. It's only 10 people. Now, also keep in the back of your mind, the bigger the building, the higher the rent is too. So therefore, so that's, and provided that we meet all of the regulations, everything, we go by exactly what the government wants, we are still allowed 10 people. I do not understand. This is where this is my personal humble opinion. This is where, as small business and other people that I know are involved in, this is where we feel we don't matter, because the corporations, and I'm not really been that kind of a person where like this is, I'm really not. But as things progress, I feel it's starting to be revealed more and more. Why are they allowed a percentage and we're not? Right? I don't understand that. That doesn't make sense. And to be very honest with you, my husband and I have worked 2 jobs our entire lives. Now we're in much deeper debt because of COVID. Nobody anticipated that. One thing, insurance, never, I contacted our insurance company. Of course, it doesn't cover pandemic, and you are held liable to pay everything, like right from get-go. Now you have an opportunity, but back in March, we never had that. Our insurance is $780 a month, right? And but you have to have it, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. So they're not willing to whatever. So then I heard in the background somewhere that somebody is taking some other province is taking the insurance company to court, which I know is not going to matter, but because, like I said, we are forced to pay for insurance and do all this other stuff, and they're never available really when you need it. But thing was said, and I don't know exactly where this is happening, but they said if you want to throw your hat in the ring, contact your insurance company. So which I did. They gave me this form. What we did, we went back, and during the time period that they're referring to, we went back in and reviewed all the losses, right? That we had, whatever, everything that we did. Also had to get that notarized, right? So went to a notary, notarized it, sent it to the person that is looking after it for whoever they are, with the fact knowing that the insurance company is probably going to win, because that's what usually happens. But what we did was we at least threw a hat in the ring that if anything does transpire, that hopefully, it might apply to us also.
One of the things that on that, because that's been an issue right from the get-go, is the importance of using your broker, right? Who is your advocate, because the insurers going directly to them, that's not in their interest to be as accommodating on that. So whoever your broker is, or you're getting it through, presumably it's through a broker. If you are, that's where you really got to put the squeeze on your broker to be.
We did, and we know our broker very, very well. He's a really good man, right? And I know in my heart that he's done everything that he knows to do, right? And then that's where when I heard this, I followed up with him, and he goes, you know what, you can give it a shot. Like I said, it really didn't cost us much money other than time and stuff like that. But
and I think the other point to keep in mind is when they come up with things like the Ontario Small Business Benefit Grant Program, they recognize that there are some of these costs that are just not, that you have to pay, that are being missed. And it's why it's frustrating that when the Ontario government has their program, and then they screen a whole bunch of people out, because just about every small business could use that. Listen, let's I see Kevin come on. It looks like he's got his sign. Did you get that from Greg there? It looks like he's got his sign.
Yeah.
But,
I did, wherever my camera, there, yep.
there. Now I'm getting a little delay. Is that just me or Greg, or is that
Yeah, I'm getting one too.
I got two.
I got one too.
okay? So let me while we've got Jay here, there's some questions that are sort of either outstanding or we didn't quite get to last time.
I just want to interject. I have actually a Val for her rent subsidy. I looked up on the CRA website. Period 3, period 4 is for right now. That's technically of the queues. So
I'm sorry, you broke up.
period 4, you filed for 4, right? Or period 3 of the 4. Period 4 actually period 11 of the queues calculation.
Okay.
So period 11 of the queues calculation period 10, which looks at November and December.
But we had
So-
done that before in period 3 too.
Yeah, so this is a repeat because period 4's revenue mimics period 3. Period 5, it'll look at a different revenue.
Sure.
Jay, I'm gonna ask you, can you turn off your camera? I'm just see if it's your Wi-Fi, because
Okay.
just turn off your camera and see if that keeps the voice going.
Now, is it good now?
I think that's
Yeah.
a little better.
Or do you want me to
sorry.
dial in?
No,
No,
that's
this is
fine.
Oh.
It's just sometimes it's when you get the camera going, depends on Wi-Fi. It is a little cuts in and out a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a couple of questions.
Mhm.
Someone asked that they've been turned down a couple of times for loans. The loan programs, and I'm not sure if that person's on the phone. Probably not.
It's the CEBA loan?
Well, we're getting folks that, and I've used the example on Tuesday, that got the first 40,000 through their bank, but they've been either haven't got an answer. Well, first got told no for the additional 20, and then resubmitted and still haven't had an answer. Are you? What's your line of sight on those programs? I mean, our understanding was if you got the first 40,000 and was approved by your bank, should have been pretty quick to get the next 20, and it doesn't seem to be as seamless as they portrayed that to be. What are you hearing from clients?
So my take is this. I even actually extensively read the CEBA website, and what they're saying, you have to requalify for the 20. So you document to make sure that you qualify for the additional $1,000. And once you provide documentation for the $20,000, up to your bank to approve it. It goes to the CEBA department with Canada, they documentation, and the turnaround time to approve the loan is around 10 to 15 days. So if you haven't heard with frame, call either your financial institution or the CEBA toll-free number and just put in a query. Like
Yeah,
for this loan, where is it at?
I think one of the things that's frustrating for folks is, and I've been encouraging folks, don't, just get to the first person at the bank, is that they really need to go to a manager in the bank, because while it's administered from the bank, they a lot of times throw their hands up and say, well, it's not up to us, it's up to revenue, or whoever's Revenue Canada that's approving it. But the bank should be your advocate in this, because they're the ones that are doing the bank and facilitating the loan. Is that I mean, there's the 1-800 number, but you're getting the bank to fight through what some of the hurdles is that not a good strategy?
No, because it's money. The bank is not giving you the loan. The government is using the bank to pay to the business.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, if they don't receive the money from the federal, the bank's going to be like, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I guess then for well, there's Val and Kevin listening, but for those that may listen in after on this question, is to make sure you get the whatever roadblocks you are, and get those examples into Greg and I through the chamber check, because one of the things we do is we give the examples of businesses that are being screened out or having problems to Francis, as an example, who was on our call a couple of maybe last week. But we get them directly in, because what you're starting to find is that these gaps in the programs are starting to catch more people. Is that not fair, Greg?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, another question here, and then I'll go to see if Kevin's got any questions today. Now, this has been on the CEBA loans. Someone says they've opened up a savings account to operate a new business and not a business account in order to keep the costs down. Can I still apply for CEBA? My understanding is only in certain circumstances. What are the rules around what type of bank account you need?
You need an operating or a checking bank account. Not qualify for CEBA.
Okay.
In the business name, right?
Yeah, in the business name,
Yeah.
which is registered with the CRA industry. So for example, if there's a sole proprietor, Jay, and I have a shop, street name is Jay's Cupcakes, to be named in the name of Jay's Cupcakes.
Okay, and for new businesses, because that was one of the hurdles originally with this program, is if you weren't in operation at the certain date at the beginning of this, you didn't qualify. Is that still the case for SEBA? But there are other programs for either sole proprietors or new businesses through, I don't know if it's the regional relief program, but there are some other opportunities. Is that correct?
Yeah, case for SEBA, it still says the same.
Yeah.
You can qualify for the regional relief, qualify for SEBA, and you can put in your application there, but they also have, I don't exactly know what their qualification start date is, but if you don't qualify for SEBA, actually go through the regional relief and see if you qualify for expenses through there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if our barber, who's been on a couple of times looking for help, might be having the same problem where he was turned down for the rent subsidy because he didn't register for a My Business account until November, and he said he missed the cutoff date of September
October.
27th or something like that. But that doesn't mean he wasn't in business before. So he just missed a particular date. He's been paying taxes for years running his barber shop. And I would say, Jay, you probably, would know better than us, but there weren't very many businesses that had a My Business account with CRA.
The condition for the rent subsidy is the CRA business number.
Right.
Before September 27, 2020.
So where he's probably challenged is maybe he was never, even though he was in business and remitting his GST or HST along the way, he never had a CRA business number.
No, but the GST number, the first 10 digits,
yeah,
business number.
Yeah, so maybe he's putting in the wrong number. Maybe that's why he's getting.
Yeah, probably the case.
Yeah.
It could be more of a legal issue because it's a business number on or before September 2020, you qualify.
Yeah. I'll get back to him on that.
Yeah.
Greg, maybe you just want to touch on the property tax issue. There was something around property tax from the city of Cambridge, but this would follow through with Waterloo and Kitchener. You found out some about lowering or waiving penalties, etc. What do you want something to report on that?
I just haven't got confirmation on the exact date, but it was originally taxes were deferred from the very beginning to September, and at no interest rate, and then they further deferred them. Now, somebody told me yesterday, I think it was late in the day, they thought it was only deferred, and this is City of Cambridge, City of Kitchener, City of Waterloo, Regional Waterloo. They were deferred to December 31st, but my understanding is that was wrong, that they actually have been extended beyond that date, but I'm just waiting to find the exact date. And this doesn't make them non-payable. They are payable. It's just that they are deferred interest-free for that period of time.
Okay, Kevin, any questions, or are you just listening in today?
I'm just listening today. I had my signs, had to make sure I made an appearance.
Yeah, good. Love it.
That was hand delivered, by the way, Kevin.
I heard rumor of that.
So there was a broad question from someone who registered. I know we had a couple of people that registered and may not have been able to join us, but one of the questions that came in is they were looking for the grants available and support programs, et cetera, in the application process. Just a reminder to everyone on chambercheck.ca, all of the programs federally and provincially are there with the links on the website that you can click on those. Those will take you to the program itself. It describes it. It gives you the, I think it actually takes you right to the application. You'll be able to find the application link inside of there. So just as a remember, chambercheck.ca, and there is a resource page there with all of those government programs. So for people listening in after this, Yeah, and the emails, and Val's just saying your emails with the links are helpful too. So when we're sending these emails out, and we do send, I think we sent the link out or the recordings out after as well. They're posted on both our websites and in chambercheck.ca. Now there's more of a specific
I
question
think
here.
Val had another question.
Okay, sorry. You're on mute. Where's your sign? There it
I
is.
know, sorry. I was just trying to type in something real quick. When you said something about property tax, we our restaurant in Cambridge. So I had contacted the city of Cambridge with respect to the property tax. Now, that is a building that we own, and we do not have a mortgage on it, so we don't qualify for anything on that because we have a commercial and a business loan for it. But with respect to the property tax, I contacted somebody there and they said that they were not aware of any government programs that will help with respect to easing off on interest or anything else at this time. So, but through the, I can't even remember now, I'm going to get them all messed up. But I think through the regional relief fund, I did apply for, I sent them the property tax, my bill, and that was a quarterly thing. And I did get a certain amount, deposited into the account. And then I called the lady who was really very helpful. And I asked her, I said, how does this work in the future? This is the rent relief, or not the regional relief thing. And she said, that they keep it and that they'll send it to you periodically when whatever. I don't really understand it much, but the city of Cambridge person I talked to with respect to property tax said that there's, at this time, they are not aware of any relief with respect to interest or anything like that for property taxes.
I will get back to you on that then, Val. I'll let you know for sure, because I know there certainly was, and then there was an addendum to that because it only went till September. But let me check on that just to make sure. Did you apply for the provincial property tax rebate program?
Yes, I think that went through the regional relief fund. I think there's so many links. Honestly, I don't even know where I'm going. But I know that there was an option to apply for the property tax, and I submitted the bill and everything electronically. And I did receive like a very small amount, but it's something.
Yeah, it's kind of proportioned. Like there's a formula that they run through, and that they get out of all the questions that they ask you. But yeah, as long as you've applied, and that was on ontario.ca/COVID support, right? That's where you applied? Yeah.
Sure.
You remember it well, of course.
I can't keep track.
Okay, Jay, there's a question here, and I don't know what kind of an expert you are in IRAP, but it says the second tranche of the IRAP AIP only to selected ones from the first round. Why are they not distributed equally? So I'm not, and it talks about the corrections on shred credits from 2018 are extended. Do you have any expertise on the IRAP program, or is that outside of your field?
Outside, but I see a question with regards to deadlines that somebody, am I correct? Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I do insight. I can write on that, but it would be the next time around. I'll have to ask someone from our shred team.
Okay.
But I can definitely get you some insight.
Okay, so IRAP, Val's asked the question. It's the industrial, I don't know, research assistance program or something. It's for any business. It's not just tech that is doing things in their business to innovate. So those programs still are in existence. They're not sort of the emergency relief stuff, but for businesses that are doing research and evolutionary things, in their business, and it could be a manufacturer, it could be a tech company, et cetera. So that's more technical for those that have got IRAP funding in the past. And SHRED is the something, what does SHRED stand for, Jay? I'm drawing a blank.
Research and experimental development.
Both of those are for when you're investing money to change fundamentally how you do business or develop a new, process, etc. Idea that there are some grant programs to cover some of your expenses because they realize you're not getting revenue against what your research is. So not probably for this group, but for those that would have qualified for it in the past, I think it's again one of those. I guess it's a form of stacking, because if you're eligible for it, they want to understand what the deadlines are related to that, on top of the emergency stuff that we're generally talking about today. But it was asked, so I thought I'd just put it out there. So Jay, any of your folks there, if just that you can get back to us with if there have been changes around that, we can post that on our on the website as well.
No, definitely.
Greg, maybe we should cover off a little bit because this is an emerging problem. We're continuing to beat the drum on it. Is on the Ontario Small Business Grant Program. We're going to be on Monday. I'll be in a budget, input session. Not that I have very much time on Monday with Mike Harrison. He's doing an input session for budget. But that program, we all know, needs some modification because it's screening out too many folks. It was designed narrowly for those that were forced to shut down entirely as of December 26th. But there's all kinds of businesses who are impacted, even though they're quote allowed to stay open. Maybe you want to just give a kind of sense of some of the examples we've been hearing and how we're trying to get those examples and try and make some changes with the provincial government.
Oh, well, back in December, when we actually on our radio show, we had the finance minister, the one we really liked, who decided to go to St. Bart's and then got booted out. But in any event, when he announced it, or actually I don't think he could announce it at that point, but he told us about it before we went on our radio show. It was described by him to us as being very simplistic, handful of questions, answer it, small businesses that are affected by the shutdown. So that there was a transition when lockdown came that dramatically affected them, and that their, revenues would be down 20% year over year. I think from comparable was April 2019. So, so Ian and I were kind of excited about that because we thought this is going to be great. We knew that businesses were going to be, especially small businesses, were going to be affected on December 26th when we went into full lockdown and gray. But we were very optimistic that at least there was going to be, 10 or 20,000 bucks there. And it was originally only supposed to go to, I think, January 22nd or 23rd, something like that. So we thought, well, that's not too bad. The problem is what we found is the gaps in the program and who qualifies and how you qualify got wider and wider as time went on. So it came off the page from the minister as being a very robust program that was really intended to make sure that small businesses had a little bit of money to kind of hobble them through to the end of January. To all of a sudden now, lots of businesses qualify for it, but there's probably as many who don't qualify, who have exactly the same impact on their business. So Ian's famous one is the dry cleaner, whose business was already down by, 55%, 60%. All of a sudden lockdown comes and stay-at-home orders happen. And now nobody's getting dry cleaning done because they're not supposed to go out for anything other than essential reasons. And so now he's down by, 80%. But doesn't qualify because under the terms of essential services, dry cleaners are considered essential services and can be open. So what we're trying to say to the provincial government, and I think we're having an understanding year from the politicians, but not so understanding from the bureaucrats, is look, if the program is supposed to help businesses that were impacted by the December 26th lockdown, then, you know, make sure you provide the funding for those businesses that were impacted as a result of that, even if they're still considered an essential service, because what the province deems to be an essential service is not what you and I deem to be an essential service. I, quite frankly, as soon as I get locked out, in fact, you know, I take shirts in now that have probably come out of the dry cleaner. I take them out of the plastic and take them back just to support my dry cleaner. You know, because there's no need to get dry cleaning done on a regular basis now. So I think the province is missing on this. However, from the bureaucrats' perspective, they look at it and say, well, we got 1.5 billion set aside to cover this. If we open it up to where, you know, you guys think it might be, that could be a $3 or $4 billion price tag. But, you know, I think this morning we kind of talked about it, and I said, well, you know, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, because the left hand's out there saying we're going to send kids back to school and take a chance on having a third wave. And the right hand saying, well, let's make sure that, you know, we're going to be opening soon, so we don't have to fill the pot full of money to give it out and hand it out. And I think that's where the trials and tribulations are coming, I think, a little bit with this Ontario Small Business Support Grant. And I think, I'm not sure, Val, whether you applied for it and qualified for it. You know, Kevin's probably, his business is down too as a result of the lockdown, but doesn't qualify because he can be open. Val, how about you?
So we had applied for it. They asked us for numbers from April 2019 to April 2020. Well, our numbers for April 2020 were actually 0, right? And so we're still waiting for a reply. One of the things, somebody asked how the application process was. It wasn't actually too bad, but it can get confusing, because when I had applied, I had put in, I think through that one too, I'm just trying to remember which one, but I submitted for hydro or something like that too. So I received an application, successful, whatever. But then when I looked at the one that was linked to the grant application, and it was so tiny, it said your application was not received. So I would suggest just to take a look at it really well, because it's so tiny, and the minute you go off track and ask and submit something for hydro or for something else, it can get, to the simple person, you can get lost in the whole thing. But what is something that you said now concerns me, is with respect to the grant program, is it only for essential services?
No, it's for non-essential.
I'm sorry?
It's only for non-essential.
Oh, non-essential.
So even the dry cleaner, who is considered and deemed by the province to be an essential service, even though he was dramatically impacted by the lockdown, he doesn't qualify for the small business support grant. So, you know, we're saying, like, you should, based on what you just told me, you know, your revenues from 2020 over 2019, you know, are obviously going to show you have a 20% decline, because that's the rule. So you had greater than a 20% decline. You should qualify for it. And if you don't qualify for it, I want to know about that so that I can get on the phone and scream at somebody for being so stupid, because, you know, there's nothing more clear than the effect of the lockdown had on you than having to lock your doors. So, you know, it's absolutely ridiculous. if you don't get it. So keep us posted, make sure we know when you get notification. We heard today, Ian, what was it? Only 200,000 applications have been approved.
Yeah.
And they had 750,000 applications or something?
Well, I think they were anticipating that they would have 750,000 because it was 1.5 billion. So what they're finding is they've screened out so many businesses that they don't even get in. So which is the problem that has been identified in it. And so that we want to take their own numbers and these examples where businesses that, and that's and it was not explained this way at the beginning, that as of December 26th, if you were forced to shut down, that was the first thing that had to happen. You had to be shut down, period. If you didn't qualify, even if you were substantially affected, and the way it was written was, affected by the 26th shutdown, it looked like, or if you were down 20%, or if you had, there was 3 criteria, but the way they've actually assessed it is it has to be all 3. So I don't know, Jay, do you have anything? I mean, that's probably you seem to be on more of the queues and rent and other things. Do you have any thoughts on the Ontario small business from your client's perspective?
No, most of our clients are actually taking federal programs right now.
Okay.
And so they have not taken advantage of programs.
Okay, one thing, and I know we're going to have an expert from FedDev, which is to talk about next week, I hope, the whatever it is, the RRF program, which is the FedDev one.
Regional Recovery Relief Program.
That's the one. I don't know. I can't remember both my kids' names, so I certainly can't remember 8 different programs. So I know the short form. Jay, maybe because I think it's useful to hear from experts like yourself.
Yes.
That one is at least worth exploring because it can be stackable with other programs like rent or wage subsidy. And if you're excluded for some of those programs, that's another option to get at least some of your expenses, your cash flow expenses covered.
You cannot stack relief program with dues and the CERS,
Oh, yeah.
and TIBA. So if you don't qualify for those programs, that the regional relief program will kick in.
Mhm.
The regional relief program, my understanding is, does not have a forgiveness to it.
Right.
It's a low interest loan you need to pay back.
I think when we had the expert on, if some of the expenses that you get in some of the other programs are excluded, that you can take those ones and apply to the RRF, right? Only for the things that you were excluded from. So in that way, it's stackable. But I take your point. The main chunks of the programs are you have to start there.
Yeah.
Okay, Gregory. I see we have someone joined us. Ayaz, do you have any questions, or are you just listening in today? You're on mute. Put up your sign there, Greg. And Kevin, there, you're on mute. Still on mute. There you go.
How are you?
Good.
Okay. I'm sorry for getting in here a little late here, but you may have answered my question, but I'd like to ask the question anyways.
Sure.
This $20,000 grant, the provincial grant, is that what we were just talking about?
Yeah, kind of.
Well, yeah. If you're talking about the Ontario Small Business Grant Program or Assistance Program,
Yeah.
That's provincial program. Yeah.
Yeah. And my pet peeve is I can meet all conditions except that I was not shut down because I'm an essential service. So here we are, we risk our health and lives to be open as an essential service. And yes, we have got aid from all different kinds of packages, but this grant of $20,000, they take us, the essential people, out of play. Okay, and I mean, so here are the people that were servicing people. We haven't had one day closed. I have worked every day March the 15th.
What's your business? What's your business?
I'm in the dry cleaning business and
Ah,
laundromat.
Well, we just used you as an example.
Or, well, my dry cleaner, but it would be the same as yours. So as this is something that we are taking. So it would be helpful if you can send in to Chamber Check or to Greg or I your example, because what we're doing is we're taking these types of examples, and they were I must admit, Minister Sicario, as the Minister of Small Business, was well aware that dry cleaners was a big bone of contention when I raised it with him 2.5 weeks ago. So we're pushing them hard on for exactly the reason you described. You're essential service. You're not required to be closed, but you're like many of those types of businesses down 50, 60, 70%, but staying open. And so we're seeing that those are the types of small business that this type of program should be supporting. I think
like we're meeting the rest of the criteria as far as sales being down.
Yeah,
right.
And I think where I think there was certainly wasn't clearly identified, and we've said this just a minute ago, it wasn't that you had to be shut down as of the 26th. You're shut down as of the 26th, and you had revenue up, and you had to have all three of the criteria. So we are totally. It would be helpful. Send in. It doesn't have to be long. We don't need War and Peace. We just need a few lines about who you are, what your business is, kind of what your situation is in terms of revenue drop, because we will take those and say, here's another example. As in Kitchener or Cambridge or where you're located, here's another example of someone that's being screened out. Because what Greg is hearing, and I was as well, is the program had, I think, $1.5 billion assigned to it, Greg, and they're not going to get a fraction of that out because they haven't approved enough businesses. Most would get 10,000, by the way, not 20,000. But even at 20,000, they're not going to get out a fraction of the money because they've excluded people. So appreciate you raising that, and please do send a note into one of us or through the website.
I put both of our emails in the chat, so you can cut and paste there.
I would love to. I will do that for sure. And I guess the cannabis stores are very happy because they make the cut for it.
No, actually, some of them don't. As you know,
some of them, but some do.
yeah, some of them do. But the province was so slow and so tardy, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, that all of the approvals couldn't get made, and there were, I think, 3 or 4 of the stores in Cambridge didn't get their license to open and operate until October, and that excludes them from the program because you had to be in business by September 2020. So
but you know what really kills me, and again, I'll have to cool down before I write this note. So here's a cannabis store that some of them make the cut. As long as they meet the technicalities, they make the cut. Mm-hmm. But they're not an essential service. And are they not a luxury service? So the guy that sells Rolls Royces that was shut down might make the cut.
Yeah, but cannabis stores are not permitted to have anybody come in their store. Mm-hmm. They can only do curbside, just like Val and her restaurants. They can only do curbside. They can't have anybody come in. So they're considered non-essential. They're not considered an essential service.
Yeah,
they're considered non-essential because they're shut down. But if they can do curbside, they're welcome to go ahead and do curbside.
But non-essential, would you say non-essential luxury item? Partially, I understand there's medical advantages to these stores also, but by large, they're a luxury item, and you're going to give them $20,000. In the meantime, the guy that's open here, he doesn't make the cut, and he hasn't taken a day off, and it's nuts.
Oh no, I sympathize with you. Quite frankly, I don't think Walmart is an essential service because most of the people that go there are buying jeans and underwear. So they're not buying food. So, but the dollar store, no, I know no one who grocery shops at the dollar store. But they're allowed to be open and they're considered an essential service because they got a few cans of Campbell's soup on the shelf. So
Yeah.
it's wrong. However, those are kind of the criteria in which the province has tried to do it. Unfortunately, and just before you came on, I was talking exactly about this and saying a dry cleaner, in spite of the fact they could be down 70, 80%, and were dramatically impacted by the lockdown on December 26th because now nobody needed dry cleaning done.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is you are still deemed under provincial legislation as being an essential service. So,
Yeah.
so they disqualified you as a result of that. So, you know, what we need to do and what we're hammering away at saying, okay, we recognize that dry cleaners are allowed to be open, but it's the supply chain network. You know, Val's situation, she owns a restaurant. She's non-essential, doors locked, locked down. You know, she qualifies from those purposes. However, the people that supply her restaurants with food are considered essential services. They don't qualify, and yet Val and all of her
Yeah.
counterparts that own restaurants aren't buying any food.
Good
So,
point.
you know,
Yeah.
so that's therein lies the problem. What we're saying is if Val is affected, her supply chain that she feeds has been affected. Your
Mhm.
supply chain has been affected because nobody's getting dry cleaning done because they got to stay at home. We're saying that businesses like that should qualify as well. And that's what we're working hard every single day, trying to get through the thick skulls at Queen's Park. I think the politicians get it. The problem is not the politicians. The problem is when you start getting down to the bureaucrats that actually finesse the regulations and the legislation. They're the ones having trouble with it. And you know, we just got to keep, you know, you shoot enough
Maybe
bullets.
the bureaucrats are smoking
dies,
marijuana.
so, yeah.
Maybe the bureaucrats are smoking marijuana from these exempted.
Well, they may be, and more power to them because it's legal now. But
So, did you send me, Greg? Did you send me this email? Is that
no, I put it in the chat. So if you go into the chat at the bottom, you can cut and paste. I gave you both Ian and my my email address. Send it to both of us if you want. That's fine. We'll make sure that it gets covered.
perfect? I will do that, and if you like, I don't know if you can put that somewhere where, as you get feedback, maybe send me some. That would be great.
I will absolutely. As we get feedback, we'll keep you posted. We have, you know, we have a couple of other dry cleaners that are looking for answers too.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Take
Happy
care.
to help.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, Val, you know, it's an interesting
Bye.
area. When you start looking at the supply chain of everybody, you know, it's got huge impacts. You're not buying stuff that, like, you're not buying napkins, you're not buying, you know, all of that stuff you're not buying. So, and those are considered like essential services, right? And certainly the manufacturers of those products are considered essential services. I'm going to have to send you one of these.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, duh. I am. It's interesting how people are trying to be resourceful, and they're listening, and but you get to a point where you know, no matter how, like, you have to be respectful and you obey the law and you do everything, but in the same hand, you don't want to be left out on the street, literally. And so I know of a particular small business that never had food, and they knew this was coming, so they quickly got a crap load of what was I going to say, cans and all this other stuff. And so now they're deemed an essential service. And so now they're allowed to be open. It was very resourceful on their part, I have to say. But that's the point. Like, it just, your hands are tied from earning a living.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe the moral of the story is it doesn't matter what business you're in, you know, have a few shelves of some canned soup and some craft dinner. And
unless you're a restaurant, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and odd that restaurants. Well, restaurants really aren't. They're just you just can't gather inside. But
Yeah.
but it's really tough, especially when you're a restaurant that's kind of a dine-in establishment. Like that's how you built your model
Well,
around it.
we used to have like acoustic bands come in, like small, and it was a very much of a social gathering and things like that and whatever, which is fine. But I get like I said, I get it. I don't understand the number instead of not the percentage. That's what I don't. It doesn't add up.
Yeah, well, and that's stupid because when we had a situation where it was 10. I use the example all the time that the black shop could have 10 and they have room for about 225 people in their place. So they could have 10, and yet the subs shop down the street that had, 22 seats could have 10. It didn't make any sense.
Brain dead. It's brain dead. It doesn't make sense at all. Not even to a child. It doesn't. I don't know. I don't get it.
No, I agree. 100%.
But like I said, the bigger the premise is, the higher the rent is. So 10 people in a 10,000 square foot place is going to be like a quarter in the whole grand scheme of things.
And it costs you money to just turn the lights on.